Hi, this is Jim Gibson with CableSupply.com, and in my last part on how to secure an IT job, we talked about resumes, things like that. This is part 2 now. We're going to talk about the interview, okay? And just my experience, I probably have interviewed over 1,000 people in the last 28 years here in my business at Nova Voice and Data. And some people have come in and they've had some issues, okay? I had a guy one time show up in shorts and a t-shirt. And I thought, you're not really serious for a job, are you? If this is the best you're ever going to be, and that's pretty much what I say when I interview someone, this is the best that person's ever going to be. So if they show up in a t-shirt and flip-flops and shorts, then they're probably not really serious about being employed. I had another guy show up with such weird outfit. I thought he was a circus person waiting for an entertainment collapse. Telling how great he was in his outfit. It was just kind of weird, So if you're going to go for a job interview, you're going to want to be professional looking. You're going to want to be in a suit and tie, or at least a shirt and tie and dress pants, not in Levi jeans with flip-flops. And you're going to have to look professional. So if you're really serious about this thing about having a job in IT, then show up looking like you're serious. And don't waste the interviewer's time. Because I remember one time I walked in and there was a guy with a skateboard and he had a weird looking outfit on and everything else, and he looked like it. And I thought, I'm not gonna, why in the world would I want to waste my time interviewing? I interviewed anyway, but I did not hire. So if you're going to show up professional. I had a guy one time show up with his uncle. Wanted his uncle to sit in with the interview so that they could do group questions answered. Well, I'm not hiring the uncle. No, I'm not going to allow him in the interview. If you can't speak for yourself, then why in the world would I hire you? Okay? So don't show up with your uncle, your mom, your dad, your brother, or anything else. Show up, be ready to answer questions, be professional, be with a suit. The other thing is... whatever happens in an interview, never burn a bridge. So let's say, you don't like the interview, the guy who was interviewing was flipping or something like that. Don't stand up and start yelling. I had a guy do that one time. Out of the clear blue sky, he stood up and he started yelling, and he said, "Oh, I know you, what you're trying to figure out, what I do here." And it's like, no, that was totally new to me. But he was yelling, and then he calmed down, sat down, and then I kind of I shortened the interview so I could save my 10 minutes of my life, because I'm not going to hire anyone who has emotional, disturbing problems. And then he turned around and he said, "Well, you going to hire me?" No, I'm not going to hire you. I didn't say that to him. I just said, "Goodbye, have a nice day." I had another guy show up one time, really bizarre. So I'm talking to him. He says, he always wanted to be in IT, but he's like 40 years old. Never had an IT job before. That's okay. Some people decide they want to change things in life. I'm interested in that. Maybe he'd be a great worker. So what have you done in the last couple of years? He's been unemployed for 2 years. So I said, what have you done in the last couple of years? And I was asking whether or not he did certifications or training or things like that. And he said, wait till I tell you. I've been doing house painting, and I've been collecting money under the table. And I said, okay, thank you. He got up to leave, and he said, "Look, I've interviewed 4 or 5 times, and I just want to know." He goes, "Can you be honest with me, please? Would you hire me?" And I thought, okay, I'll be honest with you. And I should not have been, to be honest with you. I should have just said, we'll contact you. But I decided I'd be honest with the guy. And I said to him, I would never hire you. In fact, a high school student coming in who has no experience in IT, I'd hire him first. And he said, "Well, why?" I said, "Because you're a liar and a thief." I said, "You're lying to yourself. You say you want to be in IT, but you've never even taken the time and effort to do some training on your own, and you're a thief. You're stealing from me." And he says, "Well, how am I stealing from you?" I said, "Because you're on unemployment and you're taking money under the table, cash." I said, "So I'm paying my taxes to pay your unemployment, and you're stealing from the government. And if you're stealing from the government, then you're stealing from me. You have no ethics. And so if I hire you, you'll probably steal from me." Well, he was pretty upset. Should have kept my mouth shut. Wisdom is never to make a comment after an interview. If you're going to hire the guy, hire him. If you're not, tell him thank you and have a nice life, because you can be sued, So to make a long story short, That's my new approach to interviewing. I never make comments after we're all done. I try to help people and it comes back and bites you. And of course, some other person in the business pointed out that, after we leave today, he could pick up a stone and break some of our windows. Doesn't make sense. He really wasn't interested in my input and helping him to get a job. What he was interested in is just hearing that I agreed with him or that I was going to hire him, which I never would because of his ethics. Okay, so never burn a bridge. So if you're working, let's say you have a job right now, you don't like the employer, well, don't be a jerk, okay? I've had people where I've hired, I've trained them, they worked for me for a month, went to lunch, never came back. But you know something? And like 2 weeks later, I got a call from a potential employer. And they said, this guy's applying for a job. What do you think? Well, I'm going to tell him what I think. I'm going to tell him about the guy left without even a warning. He didn't even tell me he was not satisfied with the job or anything. I trained him. I spent a lot of money training that dude, and he just kind of walked out the door. He didn't even give me a 2 week notice. He didn't even tell me he wasn't coming back. He just didn't come back. That's his prerogative. But then don't put me down as a reference if you're going to do that, because when that guy calls, I'm going to say what he did. That's it. That's another thing too, is he burned a bridge. And I've had a lot of employees kind of burn bridges. And it's like, why are you doing that? Why are you being so nasty? They're leaving the facility and they're screaming and yelling. It's like, well, what are you doing that about? Or I've trained people, they've been great employees. They worked with me for a year or two, and then they quit, and then they go after my customers. And then I get a call a year later about they want to get a job somewhere else. It's like, no, I'm not going to give you a recommendation if you steal my customers. Plus, we have a contract that says if you steal my customers, I'll take you to court. So, and people, once they find that out, usually don't want to steal my customers. But don't burn bridges. Even if your boss fires you, someone was telling me about the fact that their boss was not happy with them, and probably they didn't have going to be there for very long. So they asked me, well, what do you think I should do? And I said, what you do is you go in and you talk to your boss frankly, and you tell him how much you appreciated the experience you've had there and everything else. You appreciate him as a boss. Bite your lip on this, okay? If that's the case, do it. But the bottom line is you don't burn bridges. Stay positive. Even if you know the job isn't going to work out for you, you stay positive. And you support your boss, because this person is invested in you. And this is how I feel as a boss. A lot of times I train people. I had a guy once, I sent him to 2 weeks worth of training, paid for him to be there, paid for the training, everything else. He got his certification. He walks in the door, he lays a copy of the certification on my desk, and he says, I need a raise. And I said, well, I just spent thousands of dollars on you. I said, give me a chance to realize the profit from your new certification. And he said, nope, I'm quitting. I'm going down the street. He's offered me $1 more an hour. I said, okay, adios, see you later. Have a nice day. I wasted thousands of dollars on you. I even paid for the transportation for that dude to go to that class and get that certification. And that was the thank you I got. If I don't get $1 raise or $1.50 because he's offering $1 more an hour, then I'm just going to leave you, rather than be thankful. So always be thankful to your boss, even if he's a jerk, because it will come back and haunt you, either in a positive way or a negative way sometime in the future. Even if your boss doesn't say anything, people will know it in the business, and it'll be a reputation. And there's some people that have reputations in my business locally that I would never hire that person, nor would I ever want to do business with that owner of that business. And people know about that. Okay, so next thing is respect everybody, even if they don't deserve respect. Treat everybody with respect. So if you're in an interview, treat everybody in that interview with respect. If you're in a business attire and that guy is showing up in shorts and flip-flops, don't worry about it. He's the one going to pay you. You're not going to pay him or her, so he's the one going to pay you. So treat everybody with respect. And the same thing when you're on the job. Treat every single person with respect. I had a technician once that customers started complaining about him because he was arrogant. And I asked him, I said, why are you so arrogant to my customers? And he says, well, you know something, they really don't know this or know that. And I said, you know something, you don't know what they know. If they're an accountant, okay, and they know all about finance stuff, and they put you at a chair and asked you to fill out that financial statement or figure it out, you wouldn't know what to do. So they're experts in their area. They wouldn't be in business if they weren't experts in their area. So even though you're an expert, don't ever talk down to people. Always talk to people, and realize that if you're dealing with computers all day long and you're dealing with telephones, then you're going to have information that they're not going to have. Doesn't mean they're idiots. So never treat anybody disrespectfully. Always treat people with respect, even if you disagree with them, even if you strongly disagree with them. Treat them with respect. Let them state their ideas, and even though if you disagree with the idea, you still treat them with respect. Everybody is treated with respect. The next thing is, if you're looking for a job or you're in a job now, stop giving yourself excuses if you're not moving on, if you're not getting higher pay or things like that. Sometimes it's hard to give people advice because they really don't want advice. Even if they ask you, like that guy I was just talking about in the interview, why I wouldn't hire him. I don't know why I risked my front windows of my business and giving him advice. He obviously didn't want it. But stop giving yourself excuses, say, oh, it's the place I work for. Oh, I can never get ahead. Well, what are you doing to get ahead? Are you going after certifications? Are you going to night college or things like that? It takes a lot of effort to do those things. Just to give you a heads up, when I was in the Marine Corps years ago, a young officer in the Marine Corps, my boss came to me, Colonel, and he said, you already got your bachelor's degree, so you have a choice. You can either go to an extension course in the Marine Corps, or you go and finish up and get yourself a master's degree. And the Marine Corps said they'd pay for it. So who am I to say, look, you're going to pay for a degree? I'll put the effort out and do it. But I remember that I had to go to school at a certain day, a certain evening every week, and that evening was saved for my wife and I, because we would have a special dinner and we'd watch this series on TV and everything else, and that was our special time. And I sat down with my wife and I said, if I go to the school, I am not going to be able to do that special time. And I really liked just spending that time, not only with her, but also we liked what was on TV every week. And that was long before there was Netflix. So once it was played, it was gone forever. And you had to wait for the reruns in the summer. That's the way they used to do things. But you know something? I not only took the course that the Marine Corps paid for, but I shortened the time. Rather than a 2-year program, I did it in 1 year and I doubled the major. And the Marine Corps paid for it, and I was just very thankful. I still have an MBA today because of that. And I learned a ton of things in that course. So my excuse would have been, well, it takes a lot of effort, and well, I like that time at the week to spending, watching TV and things like that. Well, you know something? If you keep on giving yourself that excuse, you're never going to get anywhere in life, okay? Look at some other people on YouTube. Some really good people talk about goals and excuses in life and things like that. Look at Larry Winget, Winget. He's really good, And Jocko Willink, Willink, and Zig Ziglar. Man, these are good people. You know what? So a lot of times we ask for people to give us advice so we can get ahead in life. And you know what happens is all we want them to do is just to agree with us. Oh yeah, you're fine. It's a company you work for. They're never going to promote you, and maybe that's true. But what are you doing to do better, to deliver more value to your company? Let's put it this way: no one's going to hire you because you feel good about that company or because you need a job. They're going to hire you because they want a return on what they pay you. So if they're paying you, $20 an hour, then they're going to want to make $30 or $40 an hour on you. Okay? And if you're not producing that value, why did they have you? If they're being honest with you, they're going to fire you. And they're going to let you go. Maybe they won't do it nastily. They'll just lay you off. Laying off and firing is the same thing because you don't have a job and there's nothing coming in and you got to pay something. Well, it's the same thing with the boss. If you're not producing the income that he needs from you, then how can he stay in business, or how can she stay in business if you're not producing an income? So, if you're an IT guy and you've been in a situation, a good job, and you got a decent boss and a good organization and everything else, and you're just laying back and relaxing and you're not investing in yourself, well, something, time is going to pass you by, because in the IT field, it's sort of like a treadmill. You know, it's sort of like you can run on that treadmill and really get going on that treadmill, but you know something, if you stop, you're going to be kicked out and you're going to end up on your butt. So a lot of people, you know, sometimes they get a job and all they do is sit on the job and say, well, you know, I'm successful in this little job I got. Well, try to do better. You know, try to go get some of those certs I mentioned in the last video. Try to do night college. A lot of this college is like basically free. Like, you know, community college, you can learn Cisco at community college. They'll give you the books, they'll give you the training, they'll even have the equipment there with someone to explain it to you after the class is over if you want to do the lab. So there's no excuse for you, in America at least, that you can't learn these things. You know, I hear people all the time, well, it costs money, well, it takes time. Okay, well, fine. And in 20 years, when you're making the exact same amount of money, it's because you've decided to be in that position, making the exact same amount of money that you're making, or you're out looking for a job and you really don't know anything about the latest and greatest technology and you have no experience. So, you know, set goals. I remember when I was in college, this professor I had, she was a great professor, by the way. She really opened my eyes in a lot of areas. But in this area, she gave me a piece of paper on Friday, and that was supposed to be my goals that I had to write out. So I had to write out all my goals on Friday in the class, you know, and I was going to study, and I was going to write a paper, and I was going to do research, and I was going to spend time with my family and all this other stuff. Of course, you know, I'm late teens, early 20s. Right? So what did I do? I slept in, I spent a lot of time with my friends, I didn't do any reading, I didn't do any studying. But on Friday I wrote out all these wonderful goals, and then on Monday I had to fill out what I did every single hour of that weekend. Actually, she gave it to, after she collected the goals, she gave us the paper to write out what we did each hour. So I wrote out everything I did, you know, slept in until 11 o'clock, did this, did that, you know, everything else, which had nothing to do with college, had nothing to do with writing a paper, had nothing to do with the reading assignments that I needed, everything else. So I turned in what I did that weekend to my professor, and she gave it back the next class, and she wrote a big line across it, and she wrote, "You have major holes in your thinking." And I was offended. I said, "What do you mean I have major holes in my thinking?" And she put the two together and she said, "This is what you said your goals were. This is actually what you did over the weekend. And if I look at what you did and try to match them to your goals, they did not match. So you're lying to yourself," she said. "These aren't your true goals. Let me write out what your true goals is. Sleeping in, spending time with friends, eating pizza, wasting your whole weekend doing nothing," which is fine if that was your goal on Friday. But you wrote goals on Friday that said you were going to do X, Y, Z on the weekend. You didn't do X, Y, Z in the weekend. You just relaxed and everything else, and sometimes you got to relax. But your goals said you would do this, this, and this, and you didn't do it. So you're actually lying to yourself. And that's why I suggest you listen to Larry Winget. Come on, you want to be honest with yourself? You want to get ahead in life at an IT job? Then you're going to have to put some effort into it. It's not like some other careers where once you learn the thing, you're done for life. You got to constantly be learning. So look at those three guys. Set goals, honest goals. Be honest with yourself and set deadlines for them. So if you say you're going to get a certification, a CCNA in route switch, then fantastic. Then set a goal, a realistic goal of what you're going to do every single day to get to CCNA route switch. What you're going to do every week if you're not going to do it every day. What are you going to do on a Saturday? What are you going to do in evenings? Write it out. Be detailed. And if you don't follow that, then it's because it's not really a goal in your brain. It's something you wish for. It's something you hope for, you know. Always remember when I was growing up, there was a bank, local bank, it says, "Wishing won't do it, savings will." So it's the same thing. Wishing to get ahead in life isn't going to do it. Working towards it every single day, then you stand a really good chance to get ahead and get better pay and everything else. Think it through though. Make sure your goals make sense. They're not stupid goals, you know, but they're actually good goals, and you have a time frame every single day. Make it daily. But hey, if you can't make it daily, at least make it weekly and see if you're following those goals. Then have a date when you're going to take that test. And then have a conviction that if you fail that test, you're going to study twice as hard and you're going to get back there and do it again. That's setting goals. invest in yourself. Here's a couple things I want you to remember, because I hear people complain about pay. When you're young, you work for experience. You don't work for the pay, because you're not going to get a lot of money when you're inexperienced. So you work for the experience. Okay, I had a friend once that said years ago when he was younger, he said, I wouldn't take that job because I don't pay enough. Well, you want the experience in this area. This isn't flipping hamburgers, you know. So if you want to be in IT and make some decent money, then you need the experience first. So don't worry about what they pay you. If just enough to get you through, then that's fine. Okay, and stay with that job and stay as long as you possibly can to get as much possible experience as you can. Now, if you get another job offer, be reasonable to your boss. Give them 2 weeks, give them a month so they can find someone to replace you. And realize that you sitting in the desk for a certain time period before you get that experience is probably a loss for your employer. And he's given you an opportunity, or she's given you an opportunity to grow in this area. So take advantage of it, be honest, be respectful, don't burn bridges, and realize that you don't have a right to that job. You have to earn that right every single day. And the way you earn it is by doing a job where your boss gets paid more money for you being in the business than what he pays you or what she pays you. So remember that. The second thing, so remember, the first thing is, when you're young, you work for experience. When you're old, you work for the money after you have the experience. That's when you're going to get the pay raises. That's when you're going to make the bigger dollars and everything else. And then when you really get old, you become a consultant. That's my conclusion. Thank you for watching my video. This is Jim Gibson with CableSupply.com. I got 2 things for you to do, though. Please like the video, make comments. I like to hear comments. Sometimes I make mistakes and I like to learn from, maybe I misspoke or something like that. But we're also starting a new video series, and that's going to be with Blackstone Cybersecurity. We started Blackstone Cybersecurity about 2 years ago, and we're just starting to put a lot of effort into it now. My background is cybersecurity. That's why I started in the Marine Corps. So if you can, visit that. That's on YouTube. So go to our YouTube account, Blackstone Cybersecurity. There's other companies on there that have similar names, but Blackstone Cybersecurity. And we also have a website that we're working on now. So go, please watch some of those other videos, like them, whatever. Subscribe, please, because that starts to build it. It's very small at this point. Really appreciate it. Same thing here, subscribe. Again, Jim Gibson, CableSupply.com. Thank you for watching my videos. You have a great day. Hi, this is Jim with CableSupply.com. Hi, this is Jim from CableSupply.com. Hi, this is Jim with CableSupply.com, and today I'm going to show you how to cut a hole in the drywall.
This is David signing out. You stay classy, Internet.